Hello, I am the narrator, and before this episode begins, Maddie and Amethyst will be talking about very renowned killers. Without further ado, let the show begin. Good morning, everybody. My name is Maddie, and today we're going to be talking about Jimmy. What is it? And did it come from a movie or a video game? Jimmy. Now, we're talking about Jimmy from At Dead of Night, which is a horror game, and we'll get more into that game in a little bit. But right now, we're going to be talking about Jimmy, one of the main antagonists. Now, he is a murderer that owns a hotel called Seaview Hotel, where he murders his customers. And further into this game, if you've ever played it or seen it before, then you might think, this dude's got multiple personality syndrome, since he will flip into his character named Hugo and have very much sociopath-like tendencies. Jimmy has unkempt, balding brown hair, mostly stricken out at the sides, and a large bald patch on top, pale skin and brown eyes. He wears a patterned red waistcoat, a white shirt, a black bowler hat, black trousers, and a black bow tie. Jimmy details how Hugo has cursed the Hall's family for centuries. Even in death, he torments the Hall. Now, in the story, it is revealed that Jimmy in the past has killed 3 hotel guests, and only one of them was actually on purpose. The rest were had led to them dying. So, for example, there was a little girl who he tortured, and one of his cruel acts was lighting her toy on fire in her hand. She then died by falling down the stairs. Second was a doctor who tried to cure him. He was like a psychiatrist. Jimmy did not appreciate him at all. Not only did he spread lies about him, but he put broken glass in his sandwich. The doctor, losing it, hung himself. Third was the hotel owner at the time. Hated each other very much. Jimmy set a trap with a crossbow and shot him in the leg. Jimmy stabbed him in the throat, and later in the story you find out that Hugo, the character that's kind of been lashing out, is actually the name of his father, his abusive father that had died when Jimmy was very young. So keep that detail in mind. That comes in later. I hope you're taking notes, because if not, I can't help you, honestly. There is no repercussion at all. It's just the interview. How close is it related to the inspiration? Maddie here with the interview. I am here with a very big horror fan. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Joe, and I love horror games because it just makes you more involved with it.
Are you familiar with the game At Dead of Night?
Yes, this is a game that you have to solve mysteries with a killer chasing you.
What can you tell me about Jimmy or Hugo from this game?
Well, Hugo is the main character that's kind of focused on in the game. He's a sick and violent man that kills his customers. It's also revealed that Jimmy does not have an identity disorder. So, what is Hugo? I'm about to answer my own question. I have a quote in my notes. This reveals that his fragile mentality was fully under influence by his father, a vigil spirit. So he's being possessed. He's being possessed. It's possession. When you play the game, Hugo is searching the first 3 levels. The ground level is completely safe. Like, yeah. Looking for you. Normally you can hide in rooms or just go through a different level. The player can call the Hugo to another level to kind of get away from them. They can also hear if Hugo is on the same level if he's calling out your character's name. I have another quote. Would you look at that? If you want to be extra cautious, if you want to be on floor 1, for example, call him on floor 3 instead of 2. So there's a bit of more distance. Thank you for your time. This has been Maddie with the interview. Back to the main show.
So in hindsight, Jimmy isn't really inspired by anything. But, that does not mean we cannot find a real life event of somebody who had a sociopath-like childhood. That's right, we found someone similar to Jimmy. And I present to you Ted Bundy. Probably one of the most famous sociopaths, psychopaths, serial killers, all of the above. Yeah, so he had a very gruesome childhood. So similar to Jimmy, Jimmy would at some point set traps in the hotel for someone that he hated. Like I mentioned before. But Ted Bundy would set tiger traps. If you don't know what that is, imagine someone digged a big pit, tall enough for a standing person to not be able to get out, with spikes at the bottom. And, like, it was just covered with, like, thin sticks with leaves, so you'd walk and it would collapse and you'd fall. That is a tiger trap. He did that in Scouts for kids to fall in when he was a kid. What? But there's more. You see, Jimmy, he also had a scrapbook with, like, bunch of like, newspapers and just gruesome stories of all kinds. Ted Bundy also kept, he didn't keep, but he enjoyed murder and rape stories. Coincidence? I think not. Sorry, I should. Coincidence? I think not.
A clip of the character. And are there any Easter eggs or hidden things?
Oh! Also, down in the description, there is kind of like a preview for the game at Dead of Night, which is Tubular. I recommend you watch it. It's cool, it's creepy, but it isn't gruesome. I have a very famous person for you.
Hey, who might that be?
Ted Bundy.
Oh, that type of famous.
Howdy y'all, my name's Amethyst and today we're going to be talking about Ted Bundy.
Who it is and what their nickname is. If they're good or bad.
Now, Ted Bundy is an extremely famous serial killer, even though he never got a nickname. He was extremely famous for a tactic he developed with his victims, which was raping them, killing them, and then molesting him. Yeah. Ted Bundy is also just like, he's a bad guy. Don't let his smile fool you. he normally took a lot of advantage to young women.
What their childhood was like, when and where they were born, died, or are they still alive?
Now, Ted Bundy had a very lustful and juvenile life. He was, got a bit of a troublemaker. So most of the time in his teens, he would spend trying to steal stuff, spying on naked women, being a peeping Tom, as well as, trying to find discarded pornography mags. Yeah, so, yeah. But, nobody thought this was suspicious activity since he had a very successful front face with his grades, and he even entered law school. Ted Bundy had a very rough childhood, in my opinion. Many things that affected him was his grandfather. Now, his grandfather, bless his soul, he had extreme anger issues that just affected everybody and everything around him. So there's a very strong possibility that Ted was affected by this anger. I'm also going to connect some more dots here. So you know that, like, his mother was posing as his sister. Well, Ted somehow found out that his mother, posing as his sister, was raped by his father, posing as his father. So, being around this type of situations, it led me to kind of believe that Ted might have thought that this behavior was normal, when in fact it is not. Thank you. I'll be here all night. Now, something that Ted Bundy did that kind of really stuck out and reminded me of Jimmy, the way he treated his guests, was Ted, excuse me, as a toddler, his aunt woke up to him placing knives around her on the bed while she was sleeping. Everybody thought this was normal. What the heck? He struggled a little bit to find friends and, like, fit in with sports and scouts and even feel, like, true love from his family or even from just a lever. A lever. Ted Bundy was born on November 24th, 1946, and was born in Burlington. And it wasn't until January 24th, 1989, when he died due to execution of the electric chair, because he was found guilty.
What time era this was? What they did to make themselves famous?
Howdy, y'all. Amethyst here with the interview. Tell me, who are you?
My name is Dr. Edward, and I'm a therapist.
So are you aware of Ted Bundy?
Yes, I am aware of him. I had to write a paper about him.
So what can you tell me about Ted Bundy?
With every sociopath, they have a very specific way of landing their victims. For Ted, it was how he kidnapped young women. I have a quote in my notes. He tended to prey on young and attractive college women, often wearing his arm in a sling or his leg in a fake cast and walking on crutches. He would then use his charm and fake disability to convince his victims, help him carry books or unload objects from his car. He would strike them over the head with a crowbar or popper. Well, one of the scariest things about this is that people would report him as a suspect, but the cops would easily roll him out because of his very good outface. He was finally caught and confessed to 30 kills, which everyone suspects there could easily be more.
Thank you for your time. This has been Amethyst with the interview. Back to the main show.
And with that, this is unfortunately the end of the episode. If you're fascinated by both Jimmy or Ted Bundy, there are links in the description that go way into detail about we gave you. If you've enjoyed, please leave a like, subscribe, and have a nice day. Good night. I feel like I have to specify that because that'd be weird if you're playing the game. He's like, Maddie. Just gave myself the heebie-jeebies. I don't want to turn around. Hello, everybody. Nope, it's a howdy, y'all.
Different voice every time. Yeehaw.
I'm about to preach, sister.
Okay. It is Mr. He has been relieved of his duty. Yeah. That be it.
This is the end of the video, end of the video, end of the video. Pew pew. End of the video, end of the video. This is the end of the video. Pew pew. Pew pew. Pew pew. End of the video, end of the video, end of the video. Oh oh.